Hello, I'm Jorge Briceño, Director of Instructional Television for KLCS TV, and welcome to Reform the LA Way with Los Angeles Unified School District Board President, Mónica García. If you're familiar with our show, you know that Ms. Garcia closes the program with these words: together we'll achieve 100% graduation. Well, today we learn about Diplomas Now, a program currently in place in some LAUSD schools that is designed to ensure that students graduate ready for college or career. We'll be joined a little bit later in our program by staff from Clinton Middle School to discuss Diplomas Now and the results that they've witnessed. But first, a chance to speak with Board President Mónica García about what's happened this month in the LAUSD. And Mónica, it's been quite a month. I'd like to actually start off with what we've done traditionally and remind us of the 5 board goals that are sort of driving the board's agenda.
Sure. As the second largest school district in the country, we remind everybody that our goals are 100% graduation, proficiency plus for all, 100% attendance for students and staff, engaged families and communities, and safe schools.
You know, and it's that 5th one, safe schools, that I really like to talk a little bit more about. You know, I don't want to go too deeply into the ongoing investigations at Miramonte. I know that that's been you personally have taken a very strong stance on what a difficult situation or an abhorrent situation it was. But I'd like to move forward in terms of what are we doing now?
Sure.
What is the takeaway from a situation like that?
Sure. Well, across the district, all communities want their children to be safe. All communities want to be able to trust our schools and know that when they bring their children are safe, focused on learning, and helping develop into the adults that we all want to be. We have taken the strong stance that any allegation must be reported. Our district is not about the investigation, but every employee at the school district, your responsibility is to protect children, to be an advocate for children, and when we feel something, think something, see something that we're uncomfortable with, we have to report. Superintendent Dacey has ordered a district-wide retraining. So on the 21st, schools have gotten together, and as I've gone around the district, really what we're listening to is people want information, people want training, people want to know that they can have conversations with their colleagues and, you know, deal with some of the uncomfortable issues that surround this. We also have heard from parents. Parents want to hear from us what we're doing, and they also want to say, you owe us. LAUSD has a responsibility to inform parents of activities at a school site. So we've always said we are going to work with the authorities, and when we know something, we must report, and we are going to work. In fact, the board is having 2 resolutions come forward about the policies on informing parents. We also have said, Superintendent Dacey, we need you to work with our legislator, and let's see which kind of laws we can change so that when appropriate, you know, if somebody has been arrested, we stop to pay that person. And so if in the case of someone is acquitted and not convicted, then we have to go back and have a different conversation. But our resources are tight. Our communities are not interested in excuses. We have to focus on supporting students and providing the training and safety for our employees to do their work as well.
And just lastly on that point, one thing that you did bring up very clearly earlier was that we need to make sure that we're talking about all employees. This is the responsibility of all employees. I know teachers bear a lot of responsibility with these kids and their academic achievement, but when it comes to safety, you made clear that this is a responsibility for all employees, correct?
And yes, all employees, and everyone has to be part of the solution. And so we do need to ask folks, we know this should never happen. The violation of a child's rights, the violation of public trust, it should never happen. When it does happen, you must respond and you must report, period.
I'm going to move us on now briefly, and I'd like to get an update on the budget. I know that there was a postponement, and that's coming up. And then you'd also mention that there's just a little bit of good news that we can share about the budget in light of the challenges that we do face.
Yes, I think the good news when you walk through the schools of LAUSD is that there is an incredible amount of focus on teaching and learning. And when we think about the budget conversation, whether it's $500 million or $400 million, we have seen Sacramento return the investment in transportation. So when we heard because of the trigger cuts, the state was going to be out of the business of transportation. That's no longer the case. We have a commitment for this current year and ongoing, and that means more resources to us. That means a smaller hole. We also know that there are 3 initiatives that are being talked about for November. The board has also said that we'll ask the voters to invest in a parcel tax to help us bridge this gap of funding for our kids. But what is so inspiring, during the time when LA Unified faces over $2 billion of reduction in services, we have amazing efforts from every employee and every family to help our schools make it. And it's happening. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
And lastly, I know you were excited about this other change. There's been a change in municipal code in regards to truancy. Will you just briefly tell us a little bit about what that change was?
So thanks to the leadership of Tony Cardenas, our councilman, he has moved, he has worked with the City Council to change Municipal Code 4504, which means that we change the truancy laws. So no longer in Los Angeles will you have a student on their way to school within the first hour ticketed, and then that ticket turns into $250 that most of our families cannot afford to pay. So what we have done with the leadership of presiding Judge Nash at the juvenile court, with LAPD, LA City, and the school district, we're saying all these adults should focus on getting our kids to school. So we welcome that change in the municipal code. We know that many of our community groups have said, hey, this is not fair. Imagine if every adult got fined $250 for being late to work. We know we want our kids in school. Attendance is up in LAUSD, citations are down, and again, it's about that behavior change to support our kids getting to and through school.
And I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk about the impact of that in the future. But right now, I'd like to say, please stick around. We'll be right back, and we'll come back with teacher, a senior program manager, and the principal from Clinton Middle School to discuss Diplomas Now and the impact it's had on their students. Stay tuned.
Enrich LA, it's a nonprofit organization with a mission of bringing edible gardens to public schools. And we started about a year and a half ago. We have already installed about 15 gardens. It works with, in conjunction with LAUSD Sustainability Office, which is a big supporter of school gardens, and with community members, teachers, and students.
We got a bunch of our students to come in on their day off, but to actually serve a community where a lot of our students actually reside. We're now in the Watts area at Markham Middle School.
We're just giving back to the community, helping the garden, and over there they're doing compost and vegetables, and then over there is where the compost pile is.
Insects are good, some are bad, like worms. They help the plants grow, certain plants, and other insects, like they eat them, or
Bees
some animals
pollinate. Bees.
Some animals, yeah, bees help. They pollinate, reproducing. They help reproduce other flowers and plants.
It's pretty cool to see different students instructing each other, and that's one of the, I think, the end results, so that the students are actually the instructors and can bring back some of the lessons they learned about growing food and you know, how fun it is.
Today we're celebrating the fact that Los Angeles ranks #2 across the state in terms of rooftop solar. LAUSD has actually been a leader in terms of making sure that its schools have solar on the rooftops of the buildings and on some of the parking structures as well.
By the end of this year alone, 2012, we will have installed over 21 megawatts of power, saving over $100 million over 20 years. Those are big numbers. You know, 20 years seems like a long time, but let me just try to put this into perspective for you. This project that we're about to energize here in the next 7 to 10 days at Byrd Middle School, this is going to save us about $160 a day. $160 a day. Moreover, though, by the time 2012, this year, comes to an end, we will be saving $400,000 a month.
I think it's a beautiful day. We're going to have 80-degree weather today to be able to generate clean, renewable solar energy. I think these are the jobs of the future. I think this is exactly what the district needs to be doing. I am very proud to be able to fight for a just environment for children.
Welcome back to Reform the LA Way. Joining us now to discuss the new program, Diplomas Now, our principal, Sissy O'Reilly, math teacher, Brian Newmark, and senior program manager, Vivek Manoharan, all from Clinton Middle School. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start off and tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of background on what is Diplomas Now and what led to it being implemented at Clinton Middle School.
Diplomas Now is actually a national program that connects talent development from Johns Hopkins University, City Year, and communities and schools in order to support the needs of schools. The research initially came from Dr. Robert Belfans at Johns Hopkins University. It's a nationally I3 funded grant, and basically what it does, it supports schools, students, and teachers in supporting kids in academics, behavior, and attendance. So it's a great program, and what it's done for us is it's brought communities and schools, City Year, and talent development to our site to support our teachers.
And it's been going on for how long?
It's actually started this year. We actually won Diplomas Now on a flip of a coin toss, which is the myth and the legend. So we were the selected school, and we were selected randomly. So to make sure that it wasn't something that was coming to us or there was a situation that was selected, we were selected randomly. And what had happened was we got information from about Diplomas Now when I first was hired on July 29th. So we didn't even know about it beforehand. And we heard about Diplomas Now. I went to the first Diplomas Now conference in July that I've ever been to and found out about the program, found out what it was going to do for my school. I was 100% on board from day one, found out I was going to get these wonderful people from City Year, I was going to get this great person to support Tier 3 kids from communities and schools. Then I found out I got all this extra-additional support and research and help for Tier 1 instruction and positive behavior support.
Wonderful,
so
wonderful, wonderful. So Clinton Middle School is one of our new schools, and over the last 6 years we've seen many changes, and it has had a rebirth of sorts this year. Mr. Newmark, you've been there now for 5 years?
Correct.
Tell us about what you see different on the campus this year.
One major improvement that I can't help but notice is the culture between the teachers. The communication that we share, our common core planning actually includes sharing of best practices instead of a common practice that took place was infighting last year. And let's see, I guess the help and support we've gotten from V and his staff, the rest of the City Year staff, it's been something that I wish we would have had, since the beginning. And it's hard to understand how schools function without their assistants. I mean, I have another adult in the class with me the whole time, and it feels so natural. We get along very well. I'm able to, separate students into smaller groups and really focus on what they need. And it was I sit back and think, what did I do the first 4 years? It was wasn't as nearly effective as it is now.
So for folks who haven't visited yet this year, tell us, what are some of those things you'd see teachers collaborating on? What is that culture that you speak of?
One thing that our whole math department is focusing on this year is definitely using more literacy and getting kids writing in class more. I've been lucky enough to attend some algebra leadership meetings at the local district. So we've really focused on just getting that word out to all of our math teachers at school. And so we're putting units together, we're helping each other write lessons, we're trying to visit each other's classroom and see what works, what doesn't. And the most important is we're trying new things. We're not getting everything perfect the first time, but no one's afraid of failing and reflecting and fixing. And so, it's a lot of positivity.
Sounds like a lot of trust.
There is.
I would also like to add that our teachers are really working together. They're collaborating through early warning indicator meetings. and we're also really working with data. So the collaboration isn't just based in best practices, but it's research-based, it's data-based, it's student-based. So all decisions and all conversation is based on data, on the student, and it's deliberate. And that's the best part of the program. So we can talk to that we have support for Tier 1 kids, we have support for Tier 2, we have support for Tier 3, and everything is very, very targeted.
So when you say data indicator meetings, what is that? What are we looking at?
Would you?
Yeah, sure. So our early warning indicator meetings are a central component of the Diplomas Now model. It's where the talent development transformation facilitator sits down with teachers, the city year core members, and CIS staff. And we go over the students who are at risk for dropping out or who are struggling in classes or in school, and really talk about the grades, some of the behaviors, like if they're turning in homework, how are students performing? And it's not just, oh, the student's not doing well, or the student's doing well, but it's like, what is it exactly that they're doing well, or where are they struggling in, and how can we support them? And so it's the conversations around student performance that is informed by the data, and it provides us the opportunity to differentiate our interventions for students, because not every student needs the same support. And if we're not having conversations that are specific with data, then how can we best support them, right?
Why does that matter for kids?
Everything matters for kids, and data is the most important thing because it gives us a framework to return all our conversations. So basically we use text as expert and data as expert, because a lot of times what we do is when we make decisions based on impulses. And when we have the data, we can actually see, feel, touch, and make decisions every day. So we use data to make leadership team decisions. We use data to have conversations. We use data to talk about kids. And for instance, in the EWI meetings, you have teachers.
What is an EWI?
Early warning indicator meetings.
Okay.
We have teachers at the table, city year core members at the table, our school transformation facilitator, our communities and schools person, and also any other additional visitor who would like to be a part of that meeting. So we have people who also rotate in and out. We have people who've come visit from Johns Hopkins University who sit in and participate. We have our UCLA Center ex-coach also participating in EWI meetings. So it's a full school effort to support the needs of kids. And it goes everywhere from all kids to our Tier 2 kids to our specific Tier 3 kids.
And when we talk about tiers, for folks who don't understand that, what does that mean?
So Tier 1 kids is basically the general population. Students, of course, will need support in different ways, but we also see them as the general group, mostly kids who are succeeding who don't need additional support. When we look at Tier 2 students, we look at kids who need that additional support, whether it's in academic support, behavioral support, who might need a nudge or push, or who might need someone to monitor their learning. And that's what City Year does. City Year works with our Tier 2 kids because they're trained specifically for Tier 2. And with a lot of intervention programs that you find out there that's available, it's either Tier 1 or Tier 3. So what we have is we have Tier 2 support, but then we have Tier 3 kids, or kids who are in the most need, whether it's academic or behavioral, and those kids are specifically identified through the data. So, and we have communities and schools working with that. We have everyone on campus, and really it's a coordinated effort with Diplomas Now and our school community. So we work together.
How do you know this works for kids? How do you see the students respond to this kind of team wraparound, whatever we would call it, Clinton model?
It's caring. I mean, it's flat out caring. With the EWI meetings that she mentioned, the early warning indicators, it's almost like an individual education plan, you know, for as many students as we can. And we focus on them and they see it. I mean, even when it's not academic, it's strictly like behavior, or this kid, he just needs someone to, you know, help him out, or just say hi to him or something in the hallway. And it's not necessarily just classroom interactions, but interactions everywhere. And so, I mean, the kids need it. The kids need someone to care, and they need someone that.
And how do you see them responding?
Come to class, our attendance is up. I mean,
our attendance is up. They're near peer mentors. They talk to our kids, but really we see it in the data. So with our Diplomas Now program, we speak in terms of ABCs, and it's attendance, behavior, and course performance. And with our attendance, 30% of our kids have perfect attendance.
Say that one more time.
30% of our kids have perfect attendance.
Wow.
And aside from those 30%, we have within our 74% who have 96% or better attendance, and I mean, it speaks for itself. Our attendance has improved. Our PSA counselor, who are Pupil Services and Attendance Counselors, works really closely with our EWI system, and she has done a tremendous job. So right now we're at 97%.
And that's different from last year or years past?
I would have to say that it is. I mean, it just feels different. I mean.
And with our behavior, we have seen a marked improvement. So from the first month of school up until month 2.5, we had 13 suspensions. So we're talking about serious offenses. Serious offenses. It's confidential. But from month 2 to month 4, so 2.5 to month 4, our last report card period, we've only added an additional 7 kids, which means we've dropped by almost half in terms of kids who really truly need support. We've also discovered that 85 of our kids have never had a referral to the office. 15% of our kids have had 1 to 2 referrals, and
85%.
Oh, sorry, 85%. Sorry, 85%.
Let's say it again. 85% of our kids have never had a referral.
Yeah, 85% of our kids have never had a referral, and then only 3.5% of our kids have had more than 3 referrals.
Wow.
Can you believe that? I mean, for us, that's the data that we speak to. And course performance, we also have additional course performance data. At this point today, we honored 30 kids who had straight A's.
Beautiful.
30 kids with straight A's. And we've also noted that our kids have improved in math and English. We now have, they went up 9% in number of kids passing math and 12% since the midterm in kids passing ELA.
And you didn't tell us how many kids on your campus?
984.
Okay, so almost 1,000 students on the campus.
So
wow.
it's been amazing. We see it in the data.
You know, one of the things I want to ask is that you mentioned the ABCs. You're focusing, and it seems to me that it's rather straightforward. You're looking at their attendance, you're looking at their behavior and their performance in content areas. Why then does it necessitate having this outside organization come in to facilitate this change? What is the challenge in doing it in every school, or doing it even before you came along, before the school was reconstituted?
Well, speaking from my personal experience as a principal, what I've noticed is we talk about, this is a language we always use, right? We talk about attendance, we talk about academics, we talk about supporting student behavioral needs, and we have a positive behavior support plan. The difference with Diplomas now is it's an integrated, coordinated set. That's a difference between just having a counselor and then having a wraparound team. So everyone is working together. What I have every day is I have a set of adults who care about kids, who have targeted goals, who are working at measurable goals. We're talking and using the same language every day. My Diplomas Now team sits in my staff meetings. They are part of my staff meetings. They go to faculty meetings. When I plan, my school transformation facilitator is a part of my leadership team. Vig attends my staff meetings. My communities and schools person is at staff meetings. She helps with cost meetings. So really, it's a full wraparound. Because a lot of times we've worked in silos, and we talk about teachers working in silos. As part of a lot of what we've used. But what's different is now my out of classroom is working together. So,
and how did you facilitate that change? Because it was a question I was going to ask. I mean, it sounds great. Your doors are open, teachers are collaborating, but that is, speaking for somebody who's been in the classroom, that's not something you see all the time. How did that change come about?
So I'll just share, things were not working. We weren't seeing the results that we wanted, and something had to happen. So Clinton was one of those places where we don't want to go 30 years on a program that isn't getting us to the support and performance. The kids weren't ready to move on to high school. We were having a lot of challenges. What do you want to say?
I was going to say, it started off with a lot of support from local district. It started off with a lot of belief systems that we had to change as a group, and trust that we had to build. So we started the school year with adaptive schools. City Year came in to start with us with a professional development. So really, it started off as a coordinated effort from the beginning. And there is a lot of trust building, because it's hard to be new in the system. But now we're having an entirely new system trying to fit in together. And at the very beginning, I would say that everyone wasn't sure if we had the same goals. Everyone wasn't sure if if our heart was in there together as a group for kids. But I think as we move forward.
When we first met V and his team and 18, adult professionals that we knew we were going to be working with every day, and speaking from a teacher who was there from the beginning, or almost the beginning, we were the minority in a large new group of staff members that were going to grab a hold of the school. we were listening to all of the ideas, and some of the teachers were still wary or wounded from what happened. But it was, I mean, the first time we met these guys, it was hard for their enthusiasm. I mean, it was contagious.
They bring the happy.
Yeah. They bring the happy and the PT.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, the happy and the PT.
Can't miss those bright yellow jackets.
Yeah. Everyone bought into it.
That's wonderful. Tell us a minute about City Year and the energy you bring.
So City Year, we're a national nonprofit in over 20 cities, and in LA we've been here for 5 years. We now have over 200 core members serving in schools across the city, working to provide the literacy, math, and after-school support to help students get on track for graduation and stay on track. And I think one of the things we can really add to a lot of the schools is, you know, you were talking about like what's the difference when we talk about attendance, behavior, and curriculum improvement. I think at City Year we really try to build relationships with students as near peer role models. Our core members are high school and college graduates, so they're closer in age to the students, and they can, you know, they're that go-between between like what the teacher wants to see in the classroom and the goals they have for students, and then they can hang out with students during lunch or before school or after school and try to get them to influence them through that relationship building to achieve them. So we really try to bring a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of energy to the school environment to get students excited to be in classrooms and excited for learning.
I don't know how they do it. They're at 7 a.m. every morning. They have before school activities. They cheer kids as they come in, and they're there until 5:30 every day. And every day is the same thing, and they spend after school time with kids, and they work with lunchtime. They do lunchtime activities. It's all day, all on, all the time, and it's amazing. We've really seen how amazing it is.
You know, there's one thing I don't want to overlook. We're talking about diplomas now, and typically we think high school graduation, but you're at a middle school. Why the focus on the middle school?
Well, it's really important because what you find is if you have, if you're looking at high school graduation, right, the research actually says kids start showing indicators in 6th grade and 9th grade. So if they're either having issues with attendance, behavior, or course performance. So any one of those can be an indicator for high school dropout. And some students have more than one indicator. So what we're doing is we're trying to support our kids, and we catch the indicators early. Between 6, right? Exactly, the stitch in time saves the time. So it's the same thing. So we're actually working with each indicator. We have 600 kids who are showing indicators. So it's actually a large group that we're working with, and that's
super fabulous.
Yeah,
super fabulous. So, well, I hope the story of second chances and rebirths hits LAUSD with a storm, because what you're saying to us, you said kids care, you said teachers collaborate, you said people work together, you said no one gets left out, and that's wonderful. So we look forward to hearing more about your success. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for joining us. If you want to learn more about the reform efforts taking place in the LAUSD or to contact me, visit lausd.net. As we continue to reform our schools in order to create the best educational opportunities for our students, it requires all of us to do our part. I'm Mónica García. Together we will reform education, achieve 100% graduation, and make the LAUSD the best school district in the nation.